Today we are going to be multiplying and dividing rational expressions once more. However, today we've got area problems, and the directions are going to ask us to find the area of two different types of shapes. We're going to have some rectangles, and then we're going to have some triangles. And so to find the area of a rectangle, all we're going to do is multiply the base times the height. So base times height gives us the area. And so here we have a base of 8 square roots of 3, and here we have a height of the square root of 15. So when we go ahead and multiply these numbers, 8 square roots of 3 times by the square root of 15, we're going to look for some common factors underneath the radical sign. So again, the rule is that you can multiply the two radicands, the numbers underneath the radical sign. However, before I do that, see if there's a common factor. See, if I break down this 15 to 3 times 5, you see how there's two 3's. Well, those will multiply together to make a perfect square. So there we have the square root of 9, and I'll break it down to separate radicals again. We got the square root of 5. So the square root of 9 just makes 3. So we have 8 times 3 times the square root of 5, which makes 24 square roots of 5. And that's in meters squared. So always make sure you get your units in there as well. And there's our answer. Over on this next one, we're going to end up using the distributive property. So we've got the square root of 7. We're going to end up multiplying that over 3 square roots of 2 minus 2. And so again, you're multiplying the number outside the parentheses by each of the numbers inside. So when we do that, we multiply the radicands again. So we got 3 square roots of 7 times by 2. And over on this one, it's just a minus 2 times the square root of 7. So you can't multiply the 2 and the 7 because the 7's underneath the radical sign and the 2 is not. And so when I do this, we get 3 square roots of 14 minus 2 square roots of 7. Now, we can't combine those because they don't have the same radicand. And so we just leave it like that. Now, we are in inches, so we'll write down inches squared. Well, looking at our next one, we've got a different area formula. But all a triangle is half of a parallelogram. So we've got the same formula, base times height, but then we're dividing it by 2, which is the same thing as multiplying by a half. So we're going to write down 1/2 times by 7 square roots of 15, and then times by the 9 square roots of 5. So we have the same sort of thing before. We have numbers underneath the radical sign we can combine. So we got the 1/2, we're going to multiply that by 7, and then by the 9. So I'm just using the commutative property, commuting the terms I can multiply together. Now, instead of writing 15, let's write down the factors of 15. 5 times by 3 makes 15, and then multiply by the other 5. So you see how you have a common factor here. We got 5 and 5, which make 25. So let's rewrite this. 1/2 times 7 times 9. And then we got the square root of 25 times the square root of 3. Well, when we do some work there, we've got now 1/2 times by 7 times by 9 times by 5 square roots of 3. And so then you can just multiply these numbers together. And let's see here, we got the 63 times by 5. So I'm just going to multiply that real quick. 15. 30 plus 1 makes 31. So 315 square roots of 3 all over 2. So we can divide that by 2 and just leave the answer just like that. What kind of units do we have? Inches squared, it looks like. Well, the next one, we've got another problem in which we've got a triangle. So area equals 1/2. And then the base, so we'll call that 3 square roots of 5 plus 2. And then the height, 4 square roots of 2 minus 1. So this is a FOIL method, so we'll deal with the 1/2 afterwards. So we're going to multiply the first terms there. So 1/2 times by, and then we've got 12 square roots of 10. So I just did 3 times 4 made 12, and then 5 times 2 made 10. And then the outside terms, we've got negative 3 square roots of 5. Inside terms make a positive 8 square roots of 2. And then the last terms make a negative 2. So we're going to take half of these numbers. So I wrote that in parentheses because that's all one number, and we still have to take half of that. So I can't combine any of these terms, but we can divide some of them by 2. So we divide each of them by 2 now. And we've got a 6 square roots of 10. Minus 3/2 square roots of 5 plus 4 square roots of 2 minus 1. And this is all in what units? Well, no units there, so I'll just write units squared. There's my answer. So that's the exact answer. Don't need to worry about simplifying it right now. And that's what we've got. So those are problems similar to what you're going to see on tonight's homework. Good luck.